I truly hope this wants to record because my device is not cooperating. Guys, it's Jeremy Hempy's channel. No, I'm not gonna rest until we have broad. The environment is getting there with broad support. People realize that we're taking these hits from multiple, all these ecological pollution sources, all these climate disasters, all these wildfires, flipping shit. We've in solidarity with cleaning up the mess in Beirut. I'm in solidarity with cleaning up the Mauritius oil spill. Shit, this is just so recent. But before this gets too old, I want to read about the work of the Friends of the Earth because it's so important to just feature, guys, I give it up to these, I just want to promote mainstream science on my channel, mainstream conservation. These groups have been fighting just so hard, just this monumental, such an important fighters for our crisis response. Friends of the Earth, they're just doing so much for the pollinators and so much for a more livable world, you guys. Please join. And I'm going to read you this newsletter that's from spring 2020. I want to give up my channel for mainstream environmental causes today because I want to drive home how critical this is. All right. You guys get it. All right. So, from supporting our work to protect Alaska's Bristol Bay to fighting to block mining in the Grand Canyon, Friends of the Earth members like you are fueling the fight for a healthy and just world. Fighting polluter bailouts. In a matter of weeks, millions have lost their jobs. Schools and workplaces have been forced to close. As COVID-19 races through our communities, it is dramatically changing our way of life, and it also threatens to harm our planet. In the face of a generational crisis, big oil and gas are pushing for huge taxpayer bailouts, money that should be used to help people through this crisis. At the same time, we are facing new attacks from familiar faces. Big polluters ramp up their assaults on our public lands and frontline communities. Our pollinators continue to suffer from pesticide use, and the EPA is neglecting its duty to protect the environment. This crisis has shown us where priorities lie. For big corporations, it's maintaining the bottom line, no matter the cost to the rest of us. For Friends of the Earth and our members, it's continuing the fight for things that we hold dear: clean water and clean air, a stable climate, unsullied public lands, and a robust people and planet-centered democracy. Our work has become more challenging in recent weeks, but it is no less urgent. And with your support, we have been able to react decisively to the crisis while continuing our ongoing fight for a more healthy and just world. Fighting them polluter bailouts. They're coming. We have to stay so flipping astute to resist this. What's going on? Point number 1, we're blocking bailouts for polluters. As soon as the coronavirus crisis emerged, Friends of the Earth got to work, and we helped with the lead environmental community's strategic response to the pandemic, working in solidarity with allies to fight for an initial coronavirus aid relief package that protected frontline workers in vulnerable communities, not big polluters. Thanks to your support, we were able to fight for our oceans. As one of the few groups working on cruise ships, we successfully blocked bailouts for an industry that deliberately incorporates offshore to avoid taxes and skirt environmental and labor laws. Pressure Congress to prioritize family farmers in the stimulus package and to expand SNAP benefits, food stamp benefits. And that they were able to defeat a $3 billion aid package for big oil. Our campaigners acted swiftly to combat a proposal to buy oil and fill the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, a shameless bid to backstop plummeting prices as the coronavirus hit. Now that the CARES Act has passed, we've got more work ahead of us. In fact, the Federal Reserve just announced $750 billion in corporate debt buying as part of the stimulus. We'll be pushing for further congressional oversight to make sure that big polluters can't cash in on this crisis to worsen their environmental destruction. Just as my editor's note, that's just my biggest pet peeve. They get these bailouts, then they can buy the pollution Big Ag can buy their chemicals with their bailouts, but they're then not regulated and what they do with them, and then they're not fucking encouraged to report their pollution. We're going to get into more of this in this newsletter. Point number 2 that Friends of the Earth wants to make: we're racking up big wins for our pollinators. Our bees and butterflies still need urgent help, so Friends of the Earth isn't sitting still on our pollinator work. We won a key victory in March when Maryland joined Hawaii, California, and New York in banning Dow's bee-killing, brain-damaging pesticide chlorpyrifos. EPA scientists recommended banning the chemical way back in 2015 due to concerns about children's health, which is poisoned by this nerve agent. But since that ban was never implemented, states have been forced to step up to protect their own public health and environment. Friends of the Earth applauds the Maryland legislature for banning chlorpyrifos. Unfortunately, the bill contains a sunset clause that makes the ban temporary. We will continue to push the state to ban chlorpyrifos completely and permanently as we work with other state and federal legislators to ban bee-killing pesticides. Point number 3, we're fighting environmental rollbacks. In late March, the EPA announced a sweeping suspension of environmental rule enforcement, making it easier for polluters to poison our communities at the direct request of oil lobbyists. But they're not the only ones that benefit. With environmental rules suspended, pesticide companies can use COVID-19 as an excuse to dodge environmental standards. Regulators can ignore Superfund sites. Polluting industries won't be penalized for certain violations of monitoring, testing, and sampling. Taken together, these rollbacks give polluters free rein to poison our air and water with impunity. With our members' help, Friends of the Earth is pushing EPA to reverse this disastrous decision while working to ensure this isn't the beginning of even broader cuts to our bedrock environmental protections. And just my editor's note, parentheses on this, that this isn't just the beginning. This is the broadest fucking scheme of Trump's malfeasant, corrupt, bureaucratic agencies overturning everything. Like, Friends of the Earth is just little, like, this is the news, but this has been ongoing. It's so many rollbacks, and when Trump brags about it, every time he campaigns, that he's waived regulations, gotten rid of regulations, just remember what a stab in the back that is to our public health and general welfare. Point number 4 that Friends of the Earth is making: we're standing up to extractive industries. In pristine Bristol Bay, Alaska, regulators are trying to push through the proposed Pebble mine. Despite opposition from more than 65% of all Alaskans, 80% of Bristol Bay residents, including Native people, and more than 85% of commercial fishermen. It's clear why opposition is so strong. The mine could generate more than 10 billion tons of dangerous waste, including lead, arsenic, and other toxins, wipe out 90 miles of salmon streams, and pollute more than 5,000 acres of wetlands, ponds, and lakes that could devastate local communities and the last great wild salmon, sockeye salmon fishery. Trying to sneak through approval of this project during a national crisis is despicable. Friends of the Earth and our members won't rest until Pebble Mine is shelved once and for all. Point number 5, we're preserving our public lands. Big polluters are desperate to get their hands on our public lands. Right now, America's most iconic national park, the Grand Canyon, is being threatened with uranium mining, which would poison water, disrupt critical habitat for wildlife, and increase the risk of cancer and other health issues for local and indigenous communities. As soon as we learned of this plan, Friends of the Earth pushed the House of Representatives to pass a bill protecting Grand Canyon from uranium mining forever. Thanks to our pressure, they acted. Now, with the help of our members, we're pushing the Senate to do the same. I'd like to ask you guys to join the AZ Trail Association and ask your U.S. senators to oppose the Grand Canyon uranium mine unequivocally. Meanwhile, in Colorado, the Bureau of Land Management plans to lease over 67,000 acres of public lands in Colorado to big oil and fossil fuel extraction. This would irreversibly damage the habitats of the sage grouse, elk, and mule deer, and lead to devastating health implications for local and indigenous communities. Friends of the Earth members like you are stepping up, demanding that BLM, Bureau of Land Management, halt these leases. I'd also encourage you guys to join